Okay, terrific. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you here today on the Friday before a long weekend. If you're here, it means you're really dedicated. So thanks for being here. So much appreciated. We're into our every other Friday booked biz. And it was fun when Rachel and I started out trying to come up with a good title, Apply, Act, and Achieve. And there's so many wonderful things and books out there. And I used to have sticky notes all over the house because I listened to my business books. And you know what? It was just hard to get. I'd go, "Ooh, that's a really good idea," and I'd write it down. And the trick is that how do you get those good ideas off of the sticky notes and working in your life? And you know what? AI helps us do that. It helps to condense some of the things that are presented in these books and applies it to our specific business. So, exactly what to say is what we're going to be covering today. And welcome to Laura and Rachel, my co-hosts.
Hi,
And
everybody.
they're help out so much in the background and take care of everybody. Any questions, you can type them into your Zoom chat. And so
We'll do our
they're here
very
to help.
best to get them answered during the workshop. And if not, we will absolutely follow up afterwards in an email.
Great. So for a free version of ChatGPT, if you don't already have a version, you can go to chat.openai.com. And all the instructions are here. You'll be able to download all these slides. And we're going to be providing you with a file, a couple files actually, and we will go ahead and put those into the Zoom chat, and then you can download from there. So these are instructions in how to do that. And you'll get this whole set of slides. Okay, we cover this and talk about it every time that we get together, but AI is happening now. It's changing fast. I listen to a podcast regularly where they're talking about all the changes, and it's just really overwhelming almost in terms of who's doing what out there in the AI sphere. So many companies moving ahead, and a lot of things are going on in the employment arena as well. Of course, a lot of it is starting in the tech companies, but it's going to continue to spread outward from the tech companies out all the way through all of the different industries. So good to get in front of the big curve because so many people haven't even touched AI yet. And so you guys are to be commended for being here. Let's talk about maybe our teams. How do we get our teams to be able to work faster and smarter and more effectively? And AI means that we provide services or products in more elegant ways, which means that we can also earn more. And we're hearing from people in the group. I'll give everybody a chance to jump in and say how they're using AI here in a minute. But just think about if we have a team, how can we pull them in? And in our company, we're doing our best to make the AI available to everybody. We just shifted everybody into ChatGPT Teams, and it just gets us all in the same quote unquote atmosphere. And of course, for our clients, we can do a whole lot more for them as we move forward if we use AI. So we are doing recordings, and I'm running a little bit behind getting the last set of recordings. Laura's very prompt on getting those things edited and out on the page. So you'll be getting something within the next few days that says, oh, here are the latest recordings. Actually, they're from the time before this week, but that's on me. So you will get those. And of course, there's a lot of information out on that page. We do close the doors to the workshop about 10 after. We started a couple minutes late today, so we'll probably leave the doors open for a couple more minutes. But that's so that we don't have to try to bring people up to speed when they jump in a little bit later. Just watch what kind of information you put in and present. You don't want to share anything that's confidential regarding clients or other people in your company. And then, depending on how many people we have, we may or may not have the breakout sessions. We'll see when we get there. But at first, you're going to be working on prompt. Now, one thing I'm going to mention is that these classes aren't designed to teach you how to write prompts. The whole idea is just to get you using ChatGPT or another AI program to see what it can do for you And of course, if you wanted to be able to write prompt, you can look at the prompts. We provide them to you and you can see how they're structured. But the whole idea is to broaden your horizons about that you can use ChatGPT in so many different ways. And this whole grabbing information from books and applying it to yourself is just one of those ways to do it. I got involved in AI quite some time ago, and I found that as I started working in it, that I could move beyond the numbers. Now, I've always loved working with numbers with my clients, but sometimes they don't act on the numbers that they see. And there are a whole lot of other things going on in their organizations. And there's so many things they can do to become more profitable and operate more efficiently. And AI can certainly help on that front. And that's what really captured my attention when I first got into it. And then I joined the Simple AI Consultants Group, and there are over 100 AI focused consultants where we share AI training and creative applications. There are some great training options, free and paid. And we do have a really nice option for free stuff for Simple. If you'll just reach out to me, you'll find my Calendly link a little later in the slides, and I can get you into one of their free programs.
We've
Okay,
also provided the Calendly link, Diane, in the
okay.
chat for everyone in case you want to grab that or copy that. But like Diane said, it's also shown a little bit later in the slides, I think.
So I like to have a little spot to say, how are you getting involved with AI? And I'd like a couple volunteers just down in the chat part of Zoom. You can raise your hand and then we can hear how you're using it. It doesn't have to be anything big and spectacular, little things even. So I'd love to have people share.
I'll go ahead and volunteer something that I use
Mhm.
today. Okay.
Okay.
So, one of the tools that we use when I go through and edit and clean up our workshop videos is we use a tool called Descript. And one of the options that it has is that you can ask it to create some small clips. We have a paid access to that. And I wanted to know if I have another team member who wants to use Descript but doesn't need all of the function, is there a free version? And if so, would that free version meet the needs that we want that team member to be able to use? So I was able to go out, ask ChatGPT. It gave me the information, it gave me the links for details about it. I didn't have to go through and dig into Googling it. I didn't have to go find the links myself. So it saved me probably 30 to 45 minutes just to check that out. And I had the answer at my fingertips within a moment or two. So that's how I used it just this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody
Anybody
else?
else? Said Michael.
I have to log in. I have to go back and look and see what I did. I don't remember because I've slept since
Okay.
then, but I use it every day. And it depends on what I'm doing for emails, or a lot of it is rewording my emails so they sound better and helping me do research. Like Laura said, I have it look up stuff. I have it compare two items on Amazon to give me a comparison chart and to recommend which one is going to be the best, etc. So I love it.
I just published and put a book on Amazon. It won't be visible for a day or two. But the whole process of getting it, I was in a class and the fellow that trained was very good, but there were a lot of little details. And I was trying to find where in the video did he talk about this little thing or that little thing. And I was using Word rather than a Google Sheet. And I really depended on ChatGPT to get me through that process because it's fairly complex. Everybody says, oh, it's just simple. You only have to do these six things. Well, getting through the six things can be a little complicated. So it really helped me with that process.
We've got another of our attendees. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute that has your hand up, and it's our second, Rachel Foster. Go ahead.
I am the second Rachel Foster, and I am eating, sleeping, and breathing in ChatGPT. I use it for everything.
I recognize
Literally
that
everything.
voice.
Hi,
I said I
Kim.
recognize that voice.
Yes, it's me. Thank you,
It's
Rachel.
Kim. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I absolutely love it. And Diane's correct. If you ask your question, it starts to get to know you. And it's funny because I feel like it almost finishes my words before I can even finish typing them out. But it really has given me some great insight on building my website and what my business plan is, my business model, what the pricing is, the average pricing for services that I provide, all of that, even daily motivationals. It prompts it up every day. I ask
Good
one
idea.
for every day for 365 days, and it gives me one.
Nice.
So,
Anything
great.
your heart desires, right?
Michael,
Okay.
go ahead. You had another comment?
Yeah, one of the things that I do is you get the email from CPA Academy that lists out all the webinars that they're doing. And I have a chat set up that I stick it in there. I copy the email into a Word document and then pop it up in there. And then it takes it and it goes through it and it deletes all the tax stuff because I don't care about tax since I don't do taxes and stuff, and have it organized by topic. And then I can go through and look at it and look at the dates and times and see if I can do it. And then I can click on it in ChatGPT and go right to the register.
Wow, that's nice. So that you're having it pre-screen your emails.
Yes.
Maybe not all of them, but those long, complicated ones. Great idea. I like it.
Daniel
Okay.
has a quick comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, one area that I think is good for GTP is that I've been using more recently is that I have a pretty long resume that can get overly long, but sometimes you don't want to delete it and tailor it down so that, if there's information that you do need for a prospective employer that you've edited out on the earlier edition, you miss it, right? I think ChatGPT can help a lot to take and tailor your resume as per a specific industry and just edit it each time. So you probably have to have kind of a long one that you keep on file all the time and then ask it to tailor it to the specific industry or the specific job you're looking for. So it does a pretty good job. And I think it does a good job too, is that we don't oftentimes see ourselves from the outside. And I've found that ChatGPT can look at your work and can look at your resume and then make observations about you that can put things in a very succinct manner that oftentimes it takes us a while to distill what we think are our strengths that make us unique from others. How do we stand out? It seems to identify that very quickly.
Nice. And sometimes it's hard to brag on ourselves, and it can come up with a nice way of phrasing things.
Correct.
And
And where it doesn't sound boastful or kind of hyperbole, but it's an authentic judgment.
nice, nice. Another good use right there. So thank you everybody for sharing. I always learn things and we can learn from each other in all these different ways that we're using it. So what we're going to do is, first of all, my co-host, either Laura or Rachel, has probably put this slide deck into the Zoom chat.
We'll be
And
doing that momentarily, Diane. And
okay,
Nagwin, can we come back to you in just a few minutes?
Oh, sure, take your time. I just realized where to raise a hand, and I was able to find that on React. So I just didn't
nice.
know where to raise the hand so I can talk with you guys. So no worries, you can please continue and move forward.
Great. Yeah, learning that Zoom technology. We shifted to Zoom, what? It's been about 6 months ago now, and we've been really pretty happy with it. We used to use GoToWebinar, and we finally, after many years, we shifted to Zoom, but it takes a little while sometimes to find all the different commands. The PDF slide deck should now be in your Zoom chat, and you can download it. And also, we're going to give you today's prompt. We're going to use the prompt to extract some cool things for you to use in your business. We recommend using Chat 4.0 if you have a different type of AI at hand. You can certainly do your best to use the prompt and see how it goes. And today's objective is to help you apply the ideas from today's book to your work or business. And examples and idea starters are, where do you get stuck when you're presenting to a potential new client, or maybe you're encountering objections or selling a new idea. And this book has a lot of really good insights on those topics. Some of the things we may run into is somebody tells us, oh, this is too expensive. I can't afford that. I need to think about it. That's a common close that I have run into. You do this whole presentation and do all the pros and cons of this wonderful service that you're going to offer. And then somebody says, I got to think on it. So that comes up pretty often. I'm too busy right now. I can't take on any more projects, or send me the information. I'll get back to you. That's a variation on I need to think about it. So start thinking about what are some of those kinds of objections that you may run into. Now, we're going to provide you with the prompt.
Prompt is in the chat.
So you can download that. And what you do is you just put your cursor somewhere inside there and you do Control A. Let's see, I think I've got that on the next slide here. So if you do a Control A, that's going to select everything, and then do a Control C, which will copy it, and then go over into your AI and do Control V to paste that prompt from the text file. And you don't have to do anything to the prompt. It's all designed, it will just flow in front of you, and you can fill in things as they request it. And go ahead and see what you get. We usually put a timer on for about 12 minutes. And is everybody good with downloading the file and doing Control A, Control C, and then Control V?
And I did put that what to say prompt.txt file into the chat so that you can download it and open it. And like Diane said, open it in a flat text file. And as she mentioned, when you do the Control C, Control V, at that point you can hit enter. Our bullet number 3 says don't hit enter until you're done entering your information. But go ahead and paste it into your AI window and hit enter, and then it's going to come back and ask you some questions. And then you fill in the information and hit enter when you're done filling in the information that's requesting from you, and then go on down the road for the next 12 minutes of library time.
Yeah, you don't have to pay any attention to what the prompt says. Just Control A, Control C, and then Control V. And then you're going to hit enter after you've pasted it in to assume it's ChatGPT, and then you'll just interact with it. Any questions? If so, also you can type them in the Zoom chat, and either Rachel or Laura will answer.
We'll do our best to answer things. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to start the timer. I'll mute myself and I'll be back with you in 12 minutes. Okay. Try to come in softly so I don't scare everybody. Okay, good. So we've exhausted our 12 minutes working on our prompts. And with the number of people we have today, I think we have, other than me and my 2 co-hosts, we have about 6. I think we can probably just sit down and spend the next 15, 20 minutes sharing as a group. But that means everybody's got to share. Let's start with, we'll get somebody to kick it off. You can either raise your hand or I can volunteer you, because we all need to share for this kind of a thing to work. So any hand raises out there?
Michael.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
First of all, it told me I saved 60 minutes of trial and error phrasing and missed follow-ups. So that's good. I put in that I was the owner, an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor with my company, 2 employees, including me, and the phrases, it's too expensive, send me the info, let me talk to my partner, which I did get that one for real, and can you just lower the price? And it came up with these learning objectives, and very, very interesting. And I want to keep this handy that I may just have this chat open while I'm talking to somebody. And if they give me a question, I may just type the question in and say, and to get an answer back, or a better answer than what would come to mind just off the top of my head. But it's talking about, I'm not sure if it's for you, but, and how open-minded are you? That's something I haven't used. And just imagine, and then what happens next for those that are hedging. and it's too expensive. I've had before that the price is high, and I've always said that I'm going to be more expensive than other people that you find, but you're going to get more as well. But this put it in, most people in your situation initially felt that way until they saw how much time and costly errors we eliminated. So I really like that better because it gives an actual result. Let me talk to your partner first. That's totally fair. What do you think they'll need to see to say yes? Do you need some talking points to share? And about lowering the price, are you comparing this to another service or is about budget? So find out if it's which one it is, because it's a totally different answer depending on which one it is. And then a persuasion, which is an email intro example, which I don't really send out cold emails or unrequested emails. And then it gave a role play, and then a reflect on how language choice influences outcome. And I wanted to know which ones I thought were authentic and then which ones were unnatural. And where can I practice these? And then it asked if I'd like to apply these tools to something else I was facing. And that's as far as I got because of issues going on here and behind the scenes.
Wow, that sounds like it was pretty extensive. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. So, who's next and willing to share what kinds of things they came up with for theirs? Daniel?
Yeah, I guess the biggest insight that came out of this activity for me is recently I've been going to a lot of networking mixer type events. And the conversation usually goes, what do you do? What do you do? Everybody's explaining what they do. And then people, it's like shopping. It's like going through a grocery store and you're in a room with all these people who are products and you're walking around trying to find the product that's suitable for you. And your mind normally goes through a selection deselection process. So it's like speed dating, and you're going around this room meeting all these people. This guy doesn't apply, this guy doesn't apply, and you're deselecting people as you go. And that's because I'm in a relatively specialized profession where a lot of my work is centered around product design and automotive design. If people are not involved in that, they immediately deselect me and the conversation ends. But design is much bigger than that, much broader, because the same methods that you use to solve design problems can be used to solve business problems and process problems and service problems. And so I need to reframe the conversation where it's not about what do you do, but what are your biggest challenges you have in your business that you're not meeting? And then look for a way that what I do through design thinking and design problem solving could possibly be of interest to them and suggest maybe I asked this GPT to give me a conversational movie trailer that leaves them hungry for more. What would that look like? And so that was the biggest insight is rather than it being about me, start with not what do you do, but what is your biggest challenge? And I think that would make the conversations at the mixers much more productive and interesting.
And if nothing else, you'd really learn, you'd continue to learn about what kinds of challenges people face. And
Correct.
maybe
And
that
then
particular
maybe even have
conversation.
some suggestions on things that they could do to help them with that. And if they need help, I have the expertise to do that or something along that line.
That's a really great application. And that's exciting. So did you leap over to that part as you were going through this, the
Yeah,
executive?
going through there and looking at the conversation. Actually, it was the question that prompted me. What is the biggest objection you face? And it's not really an objection, it's deselection. Like I'm in a room with everybody's at these mixer events, there's a disproportionate amount of people selling financial services and
Uh-huh.
real estate. I know in my own mind, I deselect those guys almost immediately. But on the other hand, maybe the methodology they're using isn't good. Right? Like I'll give you a real world honest example. So I had a real estate or not real estate, a financial person follow up with me, and it immediately became a sales call, and they're probing all this very personal information about your finances. And I don't even know who this person is, right? So if I were designing that process, I would completely help them reframe it because it's very immediately I'm sitting there, I'm noticing my arms across, and I'm not wanting to give this stranger all this financial information about my personal finances because they're trying to sell me some kind of a product, right? So
Mhm.
I think they need to rethink their approach about how they're working and not be so damn aggressive about selling their stuff to you. But that's an example of how design thinking can actually assess how do people feel after they've talked to these guys and measure it, show it to them, and then help them rethink their process about establishing trust first before you go and try to sell a product.
Great. Good ideas, and I think you can continue to follow up with ChatGPT and just keep exploring, keep digging a little deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to pronounce it right, but Nagman?
Hi, how are you? I tried to
Hi.
play with it. I've been using, sometime I use this tool, ChatGPT, to understand things that can help me to deliver those things fast and to understand. This morning, my grandson has his birthday, first birthday, and the whole family's been writing good thoughts about his birthday. And I just went on to ChatGPT. I want to wish my son a happy birthday, and it's my grandchild. And I was able to get some vocabulary words that I can use in my sentences, and I was able to put that information there because sometimes you have to think, and you are not doing this on a daily basis. Sometimes your focus is different, but you need that kind of time to make your work process fast. My other events, I already have my 10-second pitch that how I'm going to introduce myself. And once I develop a conversation, then I understand the industry very quickly. And then I just put myself in those related to those questions in the industry. Let's say you're meeting someone who's a real estate agent. And if you have worked for that person in the past, so you know the process. Now you're going and meeting someone who's a real estate developer, and then you go and talk, how the real estate development process works, and you develop the conversation there. And then at the end, you can ask who you're using for your accounting, and then you share, hey, I'm here, I can do a 30-minute conversation. But I use like these kind of tools to make myself prepare in a way that the other person can understand that I'm talking with someone who's knowledgeable, who has that knowledge. So that's the way you develop the conversation. And I use these tools. I've been doing taxes for 15 years now. So I do individual taxes, I do business taxes. So everything is registered in my mind already. But sometimes you have to do some research, you put some phrases, and you get the answer, and you say, wow, that's what I was looking for. So that's what the beauty about today with the artificial intelligence. You don't have to do a lot of research. So when I'm doing taxes, like let's say I work for a company and I'm online and people they're calling for tax help, either they're doing on their own or they want me to do their taxes. So they have questions, they're probing me and I'm answering those questions. And now on the other hand, if I don't have any answer right away. I said, can I do, let me look, let me do some research on my side and I will get you the answer. So sometimes they are like new stuff, and then you have to get those answers pretty quickly. You read, then they have their own databases as well that can help you to understand those answers to this question. So definitely this is coming in the industry that makes the work process really fast, gives you a lot of help in any aspect of the work that you're doing. So I highly recommend everyone take advantage of this chat GPT or any AI tools that are out there.
Cool. Thank you. I'm going to go on and ask Lori to do something really quick and then maybe Kim, and then we can wrap up with our tip and still get everybody out of here on time. So, Lori?
Okay. I will go very quickly. I already love the book that we're taking a look at today. You know, exactly what to say is one that Diane recommended that I take a look at in order to help me answer questions that people have when they call us. I like that it's now provided me with kind of a script. And I really like Michael's idea of potentially leaving it open so that when I'm talking with people, I can pull this one up real quick and go, they just said this. What do I say now?
I have a bonus. I'm interrupting. I have a bonus for you guys. Can you see it on the screen?
Ooh. And we'll
There you
be
go.
adding that to the chat in one moment.
Perfect. That's all I had to say. This was a great chat, great exercise today. And again, super appreciative that I'm involved in this. So thank you, Diane.
And Laura helped me with, we sat down and put the prompt together.
Thank you, Laura.
So welcome.
And yeah, Kim.
Okay, I've still been messing with it. Sorry if I haven't been responding to the messages that are coming in, but I had the same prompt that Michael did. And ironically, I got almost the exact same things that he did. So I turned around and I asked it some different questions, more on the true approach to get them to saying yes to no, overcoming their hurdles. And I listed my hurdles that I hear all the time. And then they broke it out with the word true, thoughtful evaluation, respectful but firm, understand your yes, empowered by boundaries, and why the true approach works. And then it goes into even further about how to stand out as the expert in your industry, turning that no into a yes. So pretty
Good.
impressed with it. Keep typing. Although
I
it
would
did
say,
just tell me I hit my limit for GPT 4.5. So the rest of my responses are going to come from another model with limited resets.
yeah, I found the same thing with 4.5. You only get a few, maybe 8 or maybe 10 inputs. Yeah, that's why we recommend 4.0.
Oh, it
Yeah.
did. This one just dropped me down to 4.0.
Did it push over into 4.0? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wants me to get Pro, but I just looked at the price on Pro, and that's going to have to wait.
Oh, yeah, nobody needs a $200 a month one. Nobody that I know. It'd be one thing if you were a coder or something and you had to hit it heavy all day long. Shai, really quick, how did you find your output?
Yeah, so for me, similar with the result of all, but I asked another follow-up question. Actually, my objection was what's the catch or what's in it for me like that. So what's a catch? So I asked the chat GPT. It prompted me what to do, how to answer, or to how to navigate that. But I added additional question. What if I'm not that yet familiar with all the services that we have? So how would I be able to answer the objection question? So it scripted me as well how I can relate or how I can forward that client to our team member who is more knowledgeable about the services that we have and how I can follow up after that one, having forwarding that client on another team member. And what it prompted me as well is as long as you are confident and you are true to what you're saying, then you can actually win the client too there.
Nice. Nice. That's a good creative application. So, thank you everybody and for sharing because again, we all got something different out of it because of our particular surroundings and our job and what we need to accomplish, which is wonderful. So, this was about the breakout rooms and our takeaways, which we've just done. Sorry, I can't provide you with the virtual food. And then on this page, anybody who wants to go out and take a look at some of the products that I have developed over the years, working with people getting job costing done. QuickBooks does a great job of job costing, except in a couple of different areas. And I've tried to fill in around the edges with those particular products. If you click on the links, you'll be able to go right straight to the page that describes what those are. And then, of course, here's our calendly.com link that you can use. And if you haven't gotten this 10 ways AI training transforms teams and drives results, just go ahead and send an email into this email address and we'll make sure you get a copy. AI tips. What's a token in ChatGPT? This is a repeat from what we did on Tuesday, but I always repeat it because it's worth thinking about. And Laura had put all of this background information together and it explains how ChatGPT counts usage is the best way that I can think of it, but it shows how the token count works. Don't is 2 tokens because it's DON and then apostrophe T. DON is 1 token, apostrophe T is another one. So I've heard people say, oh, just think of all the tokens you're using every time you say please and thank you. And I went, well, I guess I'll just live with that because that's the way I type and think.
And my takeaway on that was it's not a one-to-one word count. And we had somebody else in the past touch base or mention tokens, and one of your bonuses mentioned it. So I was going, what is a token? Not so much that I would be able to transform it into, oh, if I use this many words, I'll use this many tokens. But I got an idea of just what the heck that object thing was.
And I really appreciate that you went out and did that because I had wondered a couple times, but I thought, geez, if I'm not having to deal with it, I just hadn't gone out and figured it out. And I appreciate that. And I did share on Tuesday that I had been pushing ChatGPT for some work that I was doing, and things got slower and slower in its response and so on. And I finally figured out, should I just do a new chat? Am I using up all the tokens in this chat? And it said, oh yeah, go start a new chat. I'll ask ChatGPT, what do you want me to do? Because I'm noticing that things are not moving very quickly here. And I've heard other people say, oh, well, ChatGPT got lazy, and I didn't know what they were talking about. Apparently, they were running out of tokens. So that was the quote unquote lazy part. So you can look at these details out in your slides. And looking ahead, 2 weeks from this last Tuesday, which will be June 3rd, we're going to put together something that will help you analyze and compare to websites. I don't think we'll have a problem comparing to pages. I don't know how deeply it will delve across the whole website. So we're going to experiment. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but that's the fun of doing some of these classes is I get to learn and experiment and try things, and then you guys get to try them too. And then 2 weeks from today on the 6th, this sounds really exciting, right? The Essential HR Handbook, 10th Anniversary Edition, a quick and handy resource for any manager or HR professional. The Essential Handbook. I'm going, could they have made that title any longer? But it's got lots of really great reviews. And so, we'll give it a shot and see what we can get out of it. Any of us who have other people that we're working with, this may have some really good insights. So we'll find out. So our next round is going to be a couple of bigger experiments than what we typically do. So I think we're good for today, and you'll get back about a minute and a half of your day. So don't spend them all in one place. Everybody have a great holiday weekend, and we'll see you next
too.
time.
Take care,
Thanks.
everybody.
Same to you, Dan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for
Bye.
participating. I appreciate it.